London, Jumden, the Shenship, Rajum, Yandavan, Zobe, Sanje, Rivada, Shasun, the Varishavan, Jilin, Temba, Jivundu, Kalo, Juva, Lana, Meva, Hada, Menam, Sanje, the Bejawa, Shajan, Chazelo, Judo, Yazu, Shiva, Demba, Jumden, the Shenship, Rajum, Yanda, Zobe, Sanje, Riva, Shasun, the Varishavan, Jilin, Temba, Jivundu, Lana Meva, Hada, Menam, Demba, Sanje, Jumden. Bejawa Shaja Tobala, Chazelo Judo, Yazu, Kanze Ganyan, Zowa Jatamanse, Sajan Dena, Combat, Manen Jeden Dena, Churches, Teze, Kemaka, Chance, Namda Gunga Chodo, Susan, Yishi, Yazu, Sergei, Chavan Jeden, Suna, Lamen, Gombo, Choni, Jana, Chance, Chenjon Demba, Chimen, Davish, Sendon, Jawachana, Chance. The teacher does Seba Suma, Jenyame, Jenjen Jana Chahasa, Gumbo to Jen, Bottom J, Jembe, Sonami, Danger, Zojan, the Shen Shana Chahasa, Tabian de Chawa, Jung giving as one letter, Chidu, Shinjo Jana Chahasa, no Chene, Trevor, Lava Tala, Rabdu, Shingatama, Yun, then can do Mania Chahasa, the Wachian measures. Yawa Peson Sobaja, Rangas and Nayo, then Sanje. Karmara Mameda, Jumaseva, Shubert, Melon Lord Agenda, the Jason of the Sonam Dia, Tamje, Sebayo, Covanton, Kenjan, Gada Nada, Shira, Love to Severe Solan, Blessed one, the poor destroyed, the completely perfect, perfect knowledge and good conduct. Sugata, superior beings, distributed. Teacher of gods, humans, to you the completed, the blessed, the glorious to come.
This is the prayer from the Shakya, the prostrate confidence and comfort. To the teacher of the blessed one, the full destroyed, the completely perfected, fully awakened, perfect in knowledge and good conduct. Sugata, Lord, the supreme guide of beings to attain, teacher of gods and humans, to you completely and fully awakened, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the secure from the Shakya clan, I prostrate and call for his own glory. To the teacher of the blessed one, the one being, the fully destroyed, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct. Sugata, Lord, supreme guide of beings to be taken, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely fully awakened, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, secure from the Shakya clan, I prostrate and make offerings and call forth. When supreme among humans, you were born expressive, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise and prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom motion like golden mountain, fame that blazes in the clear words, you know the best, you are prostrate. With the supreme science, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you are prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 words on it, incomparably wise one, to you are prostrate. The Savior in great compassion,
the teacher having all understanding,
the field of air with waters like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to vastness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower worlds, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show a path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community intended virtue like prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly.
This is the teaching of the Buddha.
The storm mirage of flammable lamp,
An illusion, a drop of dew or bubble, a dream of flashful light in your cloud,
see conditioned things as such. Through this merit, may sentient beings attain mental policy. Subdue the flow of thoughts, and be delivered from motion of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje chono soje chono no chanchu bato dande janzo dage jeso jebe chono je dola penche sanje rupa sanje chono soje chono no chanchu bato dande janzo dage jeso jebe chono je dola penche sanje rupa sanje chono soje chono no chanchu bato dande janzo dage jeso jebe chono je dola penche sanje rupa sanje chono soje chono no chanchu bato dande janzo Dagen so give someone dollar pinch, Sanjay Druba show.
Go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by purpose in giving in the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by purpose in giving in the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by purpose in giving in the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Gede Pumbo Dayana, Gedan Chibajan, Gede Pumbo Damishan, Pumbe Sinin, Danya Yuba Mayana, Dagi Yuba Kala, Dadan Dagi Shibajan, Manzimanya Zimej, Manzimanya Zimeka, Daya Yuba Mayan, Manzimanya Zimebra, Kagato, Nanda Shirin Yadana, Dadan Daganyam Zana, Yavane Bakashi, the Zebana Gavase, Ledon you must have better, Ledon you Monamdole, Tadaju, Jobani, Tomani Jagabu. Dagu wa shejen da jejen da me shejen temba ju sanjen da me da da ne da me me shejen jebre chawan da ba de sim ji ju da so ma je ba da ma ga ba chunyen ne de su tam je yang da me yang da ma yin yang da me yang da me tin de sanje je de ma shen le shi me shi ba na je ba nam je ma je ba nam do me de da de me tin de tin ji kan la de ne kan ju ma de tin re je de ne me de le shen ma ma yin je de je shen me da me Sanjay Jeden Venom get them but the Zingo, but the Tunji by the Chevamania Damania, Zozanja, Mañjuśrī, and Yedin of the Seven, Sanjay, Temba Mela Raduji, and other chair of a Shesha, but Raduchi, Chogi, Kangia to the years on the Tawa, Convention, Ambition, the Twin, Quadam Tella, Charts, and I think page number 60 or
60 in the middle.
so we already talked about the generosity, right? So, Jibba's generosity is the utter giving up self-interest. I think there's already people may misunderstand giving up your self-interest. There's no self-interest at all by practicing generosity. If there's no self-interest, there's no desire for anything for you, what you want. So if you don't want anything, why you do things? why do you want to give things? So I think here Jimba's generosity in Tibetan Jimba, and the definitions of the Jimba is called Tongre Semba, giving up, right? Letting it go is the definition for kind of generosity. And then in the Hindi they call tyag dhan, right? So this is an Ayadeva in the text. Ayadeva text says when it comes to the term generosity in Hindi, it's the Sanskrit, and all the great scholars are very excited to comment on the generosity, because the dhan the sound of kind of the word of the dhan, the word. So this can be interpreted in many ways. Dhan, dhana, dhanwan, dhyan. So dhan means giving, dhanwan means wealth, right? Wealthy, right? And dhyan means, if it goes one dhyan can be adjective when used to the person, means he died. And dhyan, if you use as a verb, and he is in dhyan, means he is in meditation. So the dhana is the kind of substance that you give. Right? So sometimes dhana can be animal. Right? So that's why the the scholars get excited when they talk about the kind of commenting on the word dhan. So this you can, when this write in Tibetan, I always laugh because so Tibetan term the jibba it's not like a dhan, so it only goes one give. So like when it translates in English, just giving or generosity. So it cannot be interpreted in impermanent or the passing away of something. Someone is in the meditations, and the substance itself or animal doesn't really kind of referring from the word itself. So the Sanskrit word has this kind of, I maybe like just the quality or the way that the word itself, how you put into the sentence, right? Using as an adjective, using as a verb, and using as a noun, right? And then with different pronunciation, right? Dhana is an animal. Right? So if you make it smaller sound, dhana means like barley, tomato seed, those called dhana. Right? So that's why kind of in there. So sometimes when you translate Sanskrit in Tibetan, so Tibetan translator has a right, or this giving can excite the scholar to talk about commenting on the word itself. So the Tibetan scholar has nothing to talk about giving. So yeah, and also I mentioned the story, like old woman, the rich old woman, very kind of aggressive and very protecting her wealth, each small things. And the story says that she was living in a house, very good house. She has, good food to eat, and she cannot really kind of enjoy. So when you put the bed sheet clean, and she says, "Oh, this if I sleep on that, it may wear out." So I'll just sleep on the floor. So if she want to eat, she always look for leftover. What is the leftover? So this is what she does. And when someone asks her to give something, and she get mad, right? So she throw that things out, kind of like very angry. So, and the Bhagavan says she still did the giving because she gave up. So these things that she gave to other person that she has no attachment at all to that thing. So that is the real giving. So self-interest around them. Self-interest here is its contact with selfish or self-centered attitude, right? Out of self-centered attitude or out of selfish cherishing things has to give up. For that, the practice of generosity is kind of, to use to overcome the, selfishly kind of holding on to something, right? It's not just general kind of thing. It did not really mention there's no interest at all for you, right? So because why there's the interest, because generosity is the result of the generosity is to become wealthy, to gain wealth, right? So there is interest, right? Yeah, and the morality refers to working for others' welfare. So the discipline, moral discipline is harmony for others. So the 10 virtues, the practice of the 10 virtues for Hinayana, right? For Hinayana motivation, this is all for yourself. So it's for you to not engage in negative action, is for yourself. Out of compassion, practice in 10 virtue is for other. Out of compassion, I'm not going to kill. Out of compassion, I'm not going to steal, right? So depending on what motivates you to practice that, right? So here the Mahayana text, therefore, the moral discipline is for to create harmony for others. Forbearance as relinquished hostility. Yeah, the patient practice is to reduce or overcome the anger. Increasing positive deeds is diligent. So diligent means having excited, having interest in the positivities, right? Kind of their sense of liking in doing positive things is here the diligent means, right? So that means out of exciting, out of not getting tired about criticizing someone is not a diligent, right? And harming others with excitement is not a diligent, right? And physically working hard is not necessarily diligent. So it's like a sense of excitement, sense of liking in doing positive things is here it's referring as a diligent or diligent, diligent. And this meditative, the absorptions is one-pointedness with no afflictions. The purpose of the meditation is to reduce or overcome the afflictive emotions. Or which pacifies negative emotions. Wisdom is to establish the meaning of the truth. So wisdom to reveal the ultimate truth. For all beings equally, compassion is intelligence. Compassion is an intelligence that cares for all beings equally as if they are all same. So compassion equally means compassions, loving others, right? Having love to other without any attachment, right? So then the generosity that brings the resources, morality, happiness, these are the result. Forbearance, it's luster, I would say magnificent appearance is the result of the forbearance, patience. The diligence, mastery, so that, that makes you master in what you're learning. The meditative absorptions brings tranquility, the tangyum. Yeah. So I think still it's considered by reducing negative emotions brings the balance in the mind. So that's the tranquility means reducing negative emotions. The wave of the negative emotions has to be kind of calm through the meditation. Meditation, tranquility, wisdom release by revealing the truth, rather, by revealing the ultimate nature of the phenomena that release the mind, from the the bondage of kind of negative habit and misconceptions. So wisdom release, and all aims are realized with compassion at heart. So that means compassion out of compassion which is underpinned with the realization emptiness can achieve every qualities, right? So through simultaneous perfection of this, all 7 of these. So that means someone already become the bodhisattvas. There are compassion, so bodhicitta, realization, emptiness. It just become part of your mind, as it's become your personality. It's become your nature. So everything's become simultaneous, right? So through simultaneous perfection of all 7 of these, without exceptions, one attained, right, lordship of the world itself. Jigten Gombo. That's why Buddha, we call it Jigten Gombo, lordship of the world, right? So, or you can say saviors, right? The spare of inconceivable nourishes. So, and his wisdom, his mind is omniscient, so inconceivable nourishes. And then the text here identifies the 6 perfections and explain their benefit as well, right? Definition and the benefit, right? Definition of each perfections and the benefit of each perfections. It also outlines how to train in them with complementary factors of compassion. So these are all possible with the great compassions. Without great compassions, and then there is no practice of perfection of the generosity. There's no perfection of the morality, patience, concentration, and the wisdom. So perfections due to the compassion and wisdom realizing emptiness, when it together, things motivated by this great compassion and realization emptiness, and your giving, it becomes the perfections. Your more patient becomes the perfection of the patient. Your concentration and the wisdom all become the perfections, right? So Parudichimbas in Tibetan, Parudichimba, paramitas, paramita means something kind of the path that can lead you to beyond samsara and there beyond is just simply due to realization emptiness and the great compassion. So the perfection here is going beyond, right? Practice that can go beyond in samsara and thereafter. So I think that's a gati, paragati, parasamgati, bodhi soha. Right. So, so sometimes they say it's the gati, means gone, right? So what makes you gone, right? So here, your practice is going beyond. Your practice with generosity is going beyond, which means your practice with generosity is going to be omniscient. Your practice with the morality is going to be a Buddha's Buddha nature, Buddha qualities, Buddha's quality. Your perfection of the patient is going beyond. It's going to be the quality of the Buddha, right? So what makes it going beyond to that, right? Because ordinarily we have a patience, we have a generosity, we have a concentrations. Even the Hinayana practitioners in the ordinary, ordinary people, we all have this kind of practice of generosity and all this patience. Now, this Mahayana generosity, what is the unique of that? Why this Mahayana practice of generosity is the only one that is going beyond is due to a realization of emptiness and the compassion. Right? That makes it going beyond. So complementary factor of compassions. In this way, the Nagarjuna teaches us how the awakening mind, the basis of the Bodhisattva's deed, comes first and how through these deeds we traverse the 10 ground of the Bodhisattvas. So bodhicitta, or awakening mind, and that is a combination of the great compassion and the wisdom realizing emptiness, and then genuine kind of desiring or aspiration to attaining the Buddhahood is to become the motivation of the Bodhisattvas. So there are all these kind of 6 professions the Bodhisattvas did is going to to the state of the final state of the Buddhahood. So that's why each ground, like each path is called ground, right? The 10 ground of the Bodhisattvas. The sometimes is in Sanskrit the bhumi, in Tibetan, and pabesa, rather. Sa means actually literally from the word itself it says just ground. It's a soil, mud, right? Now here, what is the the secret of this? What is referring is because these are all moving towards the Buddhahood. That's why it's called ground. This is the path that's going towards that. So 10 ground of the Bodhisattvas. So then 11 become the Buddhahood. Right? So Paragad, Samgad, Bodhi is Swahas. The Bodhi is Swaha is the final, right? Swaha means settled, right? So Gati, gone beyond, Paragati, Parasamgatis. What's that? Go beyond and beyond the meditations.
With the translation of that?
Yeah.
Wasn't it to the other shore?
No, it's here the Gati, Paragati, Parasamgati. And so here it says Parasamgati means Samgati is meditation, right? so meditations. And the bodhisattvas then settled in the, the final state of the Buddhahood.
Sankapha means meditation or going beyond meditation.
Yeah, as going beyond meditations, rather. So that means Gati is, the first two Gati is referring to the beginner state of the path. The first Gati is a path of accumulations. The second Gati is a path of preparations. And then Paragati means go beyond the ordinary state, become noble path, right? So going beyond meditations, Parasamgati is once you reach the first noble being, noble path, and you have continuously meditated and go beyond that, right? And then what is the the final result is Bodhisattva. Then you will reach, right, settled in the final state of the Buddhahood.
Could you repeat the first two gatis? The second one was preparation.
Yeah, path of accumulations, path of preparations, and the path of seeing. So path of seeing is Paragati. So now, before you are intellectually seeing the emptiness, so in the state of noble path, and you are seeing emptiness directly. So path of seeing. So right now we are trying to understand the emptiness through kind of the mediation, through the imagination, through the mental construct. So intellectually understanding. And that continues to practice in the first two beginner state. And then when you go beyond that, so then now you are not, you are not perceiving emptiness through imaginations. It's not a thought. This is not a thought process, revealing the truth of the ultimate, right? So the path of seeing. So after the path of seeing, the path of meditation. This is what in English translation, path of meditation, right? Path of meditations. Some got the path of meditation, path of seeing, path of meditations, and then Buddhahood. Sometimes they use the term path of normal learning. So when you reach the final state, path of normal learning. So the comes first in how through these deeds we traverse the trend ground of the Bodhisattvas. In his press to the ultimate expense too, Nagarjuna speaks of generating awakening mind on the basis of going for refuge. So, and how the 10 perfections enhance the nature of the spare Dhammadhatu, and he present the 10 Bodhisattvas ground as well. So, generating awakening mind on the basis of going for refuge. So it means the awakening mind preceded by the refuge, taking refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Right. So taking refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha means kind of introducing what is the Buddha, what is the Dharma, what is Sangha, and trying to understand the very nature of the Dharma, right? So when you have a pure faith in the understanding of the dharma, again that means having convincing with the ultimate truth. So then you have a pure faith in the dharma, and you don't need someone to tell you or someone to teach you what dharma is.
I mean, that we have to take refuge first, and then with that,
Yeah. So first taking refuge with the dharma, and while you are in the process of taking refuge to the dharma, so you're also trying to understand what is the dharma is. So the first you have to, within the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, first you understand is the dharma, right? And then you understand the Buddha and Sangha, right? So Buddha and the Sangha is like, who possess the dharma. First you have to know what is dharma is, what the dharma is. So dharma here, the taking refuge to the dharma means the cessation of the afflictive emotion, right? Or mind or the consciousness which is free from afflictive emotion. So this always is always mentioned that when we take refuge, we say Buddha first, taking refuge Buddha, and Dharma, and Sangha. This order is historical, because the first Buddha came, then he gave teaching, and then the follower becomes the Sangha, historical. Now for an individual, and how you really go for refuge, is first understand Dharma, having introduced or convincing the Dharma, then, this Dharma is taught by the Buddha. And then, taking refuge to the Buddha. And this Dharma is already and actualized by those Sangha, right? So the first important for individual, first Dharma, right? So when you put in the refuge formula, first you have to say, I'll go for refuge to the Buddha. This means this is the historical. Buddha comes first, and he taught the Dharma, and then there's the followers. Right?
So you practice the Dharma first, and then Sangha and Buddha.
Yeah, and for yourself, because the refuge, the purpose of the taking refuge is to protect yourself, right, from cause of the suffering. So among the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, which is the actual the cause that's directly helping you to free from the cause of the suffering, is the Dharma. Right? There are many, during the Buddha Shakyamuni, all these ordinary peoples and people who are, they directly, with their eye, they're seeing the Buddha, but still they are not free. Right? So when they actualize the real Dharma in their mind, so then they get free. Right? So the Dharma is the the first thing that is going to protect you. Right? Now, after that, ordinary Dharma we all have. Recitations, doing prostrations, praying. These are what we have right now, Dharma. So we have a toy for the childish, we need those kind of toys, right? to get used or get familiar with this path. So Nagarjuna speak of generating awakening mind on the basis of going for refuge. Then how the 10 perfections enhance the nature of spirit dhatu, and he presents the 10 bodhisattvas as well. Then how this, what kind of path that can, help you to achieve the Buddhahood. So then he speaks of 6 perfections, right, and 10 grounds. He elaborates on this rough summary of the body of the path. So, Nagarjuna speaks in his compendium of Sutra, Dokunitubas, compendium of Sutra, about how finding life of the leisure, the opportunity, as well as finding faith in the teaching are difficult. So Dokunitubas, the compendium of Nagarjuna's Sutra, means in his text, this particular text, Nagarjuna is quoting all this line from the Buddhas, the scriptures. So it's just kind of all the relevant is putting together. So that is the compendium of the sutra. So Dokunitubas. Now here says, finding faith in finding faith in teaching is difficult than the finding life of the leisure and opportunities. So leisure means, the exact leisure means here is having time for practice, right? So I think in Lama Tsongkapha, the leisure, when it comes to explaining the leisure, it's free from animal realms, free from hungry ghosts, free from God beings. So which means if you are in those realms, you don't have time, right? So the having time is the leisure time. Having time of practice and Dharma is the leisure time, right? This is rarely you can find, because even you just live all by yourself in the forest and comfortably, but you still may not have time because your minds, your emotions are so busy, right? So it's kind of wandering in the city of the imaginations. so bringing your mind kind of to the Dharma, practicing Dharma, is the leisure time. So leisure time is not easy to get, but if compared to the finding faith in the teaching, now this is more difficult than finding leisure time, right? Someone who has a lot of time and you have very interest in studying and knowing, but and then the meaning from the teaching itself is difficult to understand. And how compared to this generating of awakening mind is even more difficult. So the more difficult is again and generating awakening mind, the bodhisattva. And he also provides extensive explanation of topics such as how attaining the great compassion for sentient being is more difficult again. Right? So, and how compared to all this, all the things mentioned earlier, it is even more difficult to achieve elimination of karmic obscurations, the born of injuring, right? The born of injuring bodhisattvas. So elimination of the thought so it's disparaging, right? And disparaging them, and elimination of act of Mara, and elimination of the deed, abandoning sublime Dharma. So this is kind of, Lama Tsongkapha was saying that, yes, the leisure time is, you have to have leisure time, then you try hard to understand the meaning of the teaching, and then generate the great compassions, then generate awakening mind, right? So then it says, to succeed on this practice, to be succeed, right? To become successful in this. So sometime, if you have a karma, a very powerful karma, right? That's become very obscure. How's that? Obscuration for your kind of your practice. So what are those powerful karma? Is karmic, the obscuration born of injuring the bodhisattvas. So the mother and bodhisattvas, Buddhas, kind of destroying them or injuring them out of very negative mind, harming them. These karma will be very, very powerful. It will kind of cause a lot of obscuration, not in one life, many lives. So purification of those powerful negative karma is very important. And then it says another similar to that is another, the disparaging them. Disparaging means criticizing, yeah. Criticizing the bodhisattvas is very negative karma. Injuring them, then disparaging them, elimination of the act of Mara. Act of Mara is kind of like, the Mara is the Sanskrit, right? Kind of, what is in English? Devil, act of devil, right? Act of devil. Act of devil, he was saying that in one sutra, the Bodhisattva scripture says, Danzin du yisimines. Danzin du yisimines, grasping of self, is the, as Mara's act, is a Mara's, itself is Mara. Danzin du yisimines. You are viewing that the grasping of self. And then says, how do you know this is the Mara? And then says, just examine within your 5 aggregates. So analyzing or contemplating the impermanence, the condition of suffering, and then kind of contemplating on this 5 aggregates or analyzing the 5 aggregates, you will reveal that there is no permanent I. There is no self-sufficient I. Right? If there's nothing, and what makes you grasping on self that is independent and permanent? Right? So here, the devil or Mara act is the grasping of self. So we all have this kind of devil. So out of that, grasping of self. So out of this grasping of self, and then the 4 Mara's deed. 4 Mara deed means showing no respect to someone who is constantly giving you the advice or teaching, right? That is the Mara act. And the means, and disappointing, right? The individual who is constantly giving you advice, disappointing. This is Mara's act. And then arrogant words, right? And then if you don't have, not showing any disrespect, no arrogant word, not disappointing, but simply your whole mind is focused on kind of one life, this life, That is also Mara's deed. So the 4 kind of Mara deeds. So all, so I think the root of that is the grasping self. The real devil is there. Right? So the act of Mara, the elimination of the deed of abandoning sublime Dharma. Another thing is this, we have to be very careful because sometimes within the Tibetan traditions, so we say, oh, Gelu, Kaiyu, Nyingma, Rasagya. And sometimes people claim that, oh, I'm Gelupa or I'm Nyingma. And because you put yourself in the category and you're disliking and criticizing the other tradition. So this is abandoning the Dharma. This is very negative karma. Right? Like claiming you are Gelupa and criticizing the Nyingma traditions. Right? So these are the act of abandoning the Dharma, because within the Nyingma tradition that you are criticizing is also talks about their whole instructions how to achieve the Buddhahood. And also there are teaching of the compassion, the emptiness, the awakening mind. So you are actually targeting those.
What about non-Buddhist school?
Non-Buddhist school, you have to hit. So I think criticize has there's a criticize, a sarcastic criticizing, and then if you kind of when you try to establish the ultimate path, and then indirectly or directly it kind of destroys others' view, then it's Vasubandhu says okay, because your intention is to clean up the path, and then maybe the dirt somewhere goes to your neighbor, and you just say sorry.
I was going to say that would, because debating those things is so important.
Yeah.
So to help understand.
Yeah.
So at first I was a little, confused as to how I was like, because I know that there's debates.
Yeah, the debate is necessary because for example, if you are your job or your goal is to get the mind from the rock or the ground, so you have to destroy many things, right? So this is the kind of revealing the kind of nature of the Buddha within yourself, and you have to debate because there are many the part of your mind, many of those mind is confused and not really understanding the reality, right? So exactly like you have this negative emotions and other too, and some people kind of misguide themselves by kind of basing on their wrong perception. For that, we have to prove this is the wrong. So criticism, it's all, it's all, depending on the motivation. So with motivation. So your motivation is sincerely seeking for the liberations and trying to establish the possibility of the liberation enlightenment. So within there, if you if you bring some kind of reasoning that may destroy their view. So destroying their wrong view is not really harming others, right? The correcting other is not harming others. So you have to come up to kind of stand up with this. But so, and Shantideva was also mentioned about the person and his negative action or negative mind. You had to make a distinction between two. So when you, for the, yeah, I think here, the renunciations, from the renunciations, kind of what the renunciations teaching us is, renunciations are you should renounce from your own negativities, negative emotions, negative actions, right? And you also renounce from others' negative emotions, negative actions, right? So the renunciation is not making you hateful to others. So so the harmful is not really kind of decided by the action itself, always from the what drives them, like doctor, right, using knife to cut human being, right, is we don't consider his harming. We consider this a treatment. Yeah, in Nalinda, there's a tradition. So when we criticize an other's viewpoint, and when it comes to the name, kind of naming others, your opponents, you always kind of, call the name with rishi, master, right? So sage with calling, and then you criticize. so you are not kind of opposing with him, you are opposing with his view, right? Because as you as you cherish yourself, you also cherish other. So if I don't want to go on the wrong view, the wrong path, I also don't want him to go on the wrong view. Right?
How would you deal with sensitivity? Like, if someone is very sensitive in those, emotions.
I think this is like, for example, if just if someone raised his viewpoint and for you to debate on, so then it's okay. If someone not saying anything and he's believing in his own way, don't go and correct him. That makes him, there's no benefit, right? If someone just going with their own faith and they're going temple and they're believing in something, and then if you just knock the door, hey, your practice is wrong, so you don't do that. So if someone lays their idea and the view for kind of debate, then you go and debate with that, right? So in that case, if we don't really go, yeah, we I think no human being kind of has intention to teach the snake don't poison the other people's other animals, right? Because a snake, there's no way he can understand what is your kind of your your speech is right or wrong. So anything that coming towards him is the kind of the active sign of dangers, right? So likewise, people who sincerely believing in their wrong view, then just don't go and then correct them. Right? So we wait for next life. So and you pray, kind of dedicate that. As always, you should remember that the Buddha Shakyamuni is among the 5 disciples, one of the first disciples. Acharya Kundaniya. So many lives before, he brings harm on the Buddha. Right? So Buddha at that time, he did not correct him. He did not say you should practice emptiness, like that. He didn't say anything. He, because of his harmful actions, that led him to perfect his patience and generosity. And he used this kind of, he did the dedications. So I got this benefit because of his actions. So I wish, I pray strongly when I achieve the Buddhahood, he will be my first disciple. Right? So we always keep wrong people, right people, and keep it hard. Right? That's the most important thing, yeah. Yeah, if someone kind of comes in the argument, then you just more welcome. And also there's the great follower of the Buddha, the Kashyapa. The first he met Buddha, and he debated with Buddha, because he is very master, he is very expert in this ritual and tantriyanas, and the great master. So then he debated with Buddha. So he convinced what Buddha is trying to explain. So he followed the Buddha. So when someone really kind of shows the interest and discuss, that means he has genuine interest in knowing what is the truth. So then you cannot just kind of say, you are a different religion, I cannot debate with you. So you're welcome with that. Right? So you have the chance, the opportunity to lay out your own reasoning. So always when you debate and you refer the person as a master or sir or the sage, you have to refer them and keep beating. Continuously beat. So that's the, abandoning the sublime dharma is very powerful negative. Injuring bodhisattvas, disparaging Buddha and the bodhisattvas. So all these kind of negative actions rooted in the Mara, 4 Mara deeds. There's a sign, these are the 4 Mara deeds, are the sign of the grasping of self. What you call symptom, right? The symptom of the grasping of self is the side effect, showing disrespect, arrogant words, like that. Compared to the first 2 texts by Nagarjuna's, this word compendium of the sutra is certainly more explicit. Nonetheless, for this stage of the path, that remain difficult to comprehend. The Shantideva, and the great upholder of the master Nagarjuna's tradition, to present them in both his compendium of the training and guide to the Bodhisattva way. So the Shantideva, Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, they're all kind of emphasizing on this compassion and wisdom realized emptiness. In particular, the Shantideva present these elements of the path clearly and most extensively in his compendium of the training, which is effectively a meaning commentary on Nagarjuna's compendium of the sutra. The text explain, for example, that one first contemplate the benefit of the making this human life meaningful on the basis of contemplating how this life of leisure and opportunity is of great value and most difficult to find. Yeah, mostly we heard these teachings like and culturally introducing. Yeah. So when I was little, my teacher always says, use the example of human leisure, kind of human precious life. So human rebirth is very, very rare. This is like using the example, like like there's a story there's one big ocean, there's one old turtle. He comes out, right, from the water once a year, and there's a ring that flows, kind of what do you call flows or drifting, yeah, otherwise, yeah. And so he has to be kind of maybe 100 in a year, that rabbit, the turtle, when he kind of put his head in that ring. so sometimes it makes you very difficult, very tired. Oh, what is the turtle doing? So I think the actual meaning of the human, the precious human life means human being with having interest, right? Having interest, seeking for truth, is rare, right? Not just human being, right? So human being and having interest and seeking for the truth. So that's the kind of leisure of the human life. I think this sometimes is really kind of, so new, there are different cultures, and like the 8th centuries, 7th centuries, 10th centuries, even the 10th, 11th centuries, the way people kind of, express is very, they don't really directly say things. So they use like example, like telling the stories. The points is maybe not that significant, but examples are too long. So that's the old style. So we don't have much time for that. So we just can direct it. What is the leisure of human being is having time, right, and interest in practicing Buddha Dharma. In Tibet, I think the 1960s, until 1960s, 70, and until 70, we still have that kind of traditions. In the village, sometimes there's one person, he goes give teaching around the village, the layperson, and bringing one tanka, like Buddha stories. And when the way he kind of teaches, like when he's singing, he has to sing and tell the stories, and be with singing and telling the stories, and then he has a kind of long stick and a point of this picture. This is how Buddha did. This is Buddha did, and all the people, the old people, grandmother, grandfathers, so they cry, ooh. And then he said, now we should recite Om Mani Padme. So this tradition is totally stopped now. There's nowhere. It's really practicing this kind of thing. So this was in Tibet and still in India until 1970s. So they all start, because they want you to be faithfully reciting the mantra. For that purpose, he kind of tells his story with singing for maybe 2 hours. So to bring your emotional. We got Lama money, so there's Lama money. So I think most of them, they always kind of ask you to recite Om Mani Padme Hum. And sometimes you can tell the story about the hell drum with singing, and then at the end, everybody recite Om Mani Padme Hum. So difficult to find. Making this human life meaningful on the basis of the contemplating. So in the Chandrakirti text, and he's he has kind of in the text it's mentioned that to make your life meaningful means making meaningful of Buddha coming to this earth. So if you make Buddha his his coming on this earth is study. When you study the Buddha's teaching and you have make his journey meaningful, so that means you have a meaningful life, right? So that's the kind of Chandrakirti says, right? If you through contemplations, twelve links to divine origination, generating renunciations, realization, emptiness, and generating compassion. So you have make the Buddha journey on this earth meaningful. Because the purpose of Buddha coming to this earth is to you to generate, you to be a compassionate person, you to be a realized person, right? So making this human life meaningful on the basis of the contemplating how this life of leisure and opportunities of great value, firm faith based on the contemplating the quality of the Mahayana in particular, one generates the aspirational awakening mind and then uphold the vows of the engaging awakening mind. So the two kind of awakening minds, the aspirational awakening mind, the engaging awakening mind. Right? So the awakening minds always, this is talking about the bodhicitta. So aspirational awakening mind means there's no kind of strong promise, right? And that you really go on, you have determined to go on practicing the six perfections. You have aspiration, right? So with this aspirational, you try to generate awakening mind is called aspirational awakening mind. So once you're determined to go on the path, mind the path, so then that's engaging awakening mind. So again, in the text, there's a debate, a lot of debate. What is aspirational? What is the engaging? So that means the both person, the aspirational awakening mind and the engaging the awakening mind, both individuals have generated awakening mind, but the one who generated the engaging awakening mind constantly, right? They remember the aspiration of awakening Buddhahood. When they do generosity, they always remember this is for kind of to achieve enlightenment for sacred all sentient beings. When they meditate, they think right away. They just the mind becomes so simultaneous or spontaneous, right? Spontaneously thinking, wow, with this practice, may I be the Buddha for the sacred all sentient beings. There's even the small things you do, they always remember, oh, this is for enlightenment for all sacred sentient beings. Right? So offering small things, smiling, meeting, they're always their prayer, the dedications continues going with that. So those awakening mind called the engaging awakening mind. So aspirational awakening mind on the question, you think, for sake of all sentient beings, may I be enlightened. And when you up from this question, there's no nuance. So that's good. Aspirational. So you the cushion awakening mind. So
this is more of a stage than aspiration becomes engagement.
Yeah. First aspiration, then you engage.
I heard someone once say that even now we don't have aspirational awakening, which I don't. Is that accurate or?
We don't means you're including every human being.
Like when we practice, like we don't even have aspirational, like that's what they made it sound like. I don't know if
What do you mean by that?
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure.
Some people have, and in the past life, so they have generated awakened mind. So because of for the long period of time having no access to receiving the vows and studying about the generating bodhicitta, like for a short time or for a while, they forgot, but they have very influence from the awakening mind. Even that awakening mind you have generated in the past life. So you still have influence at that. But you have no recognition what is the awakening mind is. So for those people, simply kind of introduced about the truth, like ultimate truth, or Buddha, quality Buddha, they kind of much faster for them to generate awakening mind. So we are not sure we have generated awakening mind in the past or not. For sure, that should be the aspiration of awakening mind. Right? So engaging awakening mind means, I think probably when they're born, they get very easy access to receiving teachings. Right? So for them, it's not difficult for finding the teacher and the Dharma. So they will easily get much faster. And some, particular Buddhas, even there is no Buddha and no one is teaching, they just gain regenerating their realizations, just simply by having seen the born, a dead body or something that triggers the impermanence. Once they reveals the impermanence, nature of the impermanence, and then that's really kind of right after that they generate conditioned suffering in the emptiness. Right. Milarepa, right? So one of his main disciples of the Milarepa, and the story says when he was like 8 years old, the disciple, Richupa, he was just simply a nomad people. He was born in a nomad family. So he was mourning, he was just raising the sheep. And he go to the mountain and just kind of, and he saw the one person in the cave. And he just very curiously, he just go to visit him. And then Milarepa see him. And he can, and then he just naturally, he asked, he was a very young boy, can you teach me some meditations? And Milarepa knows this person has some kind of, this unique imprints. So Milarepa says, just go to that small cave, just sit there, find yourself where you are. And he just sit there, and the whole day he just meditate. And their family is kind of searching for him. Right. So it's the first teaching. And there's not much explanations. Just letting him sit there and do the meditations. He meditated for hours. So these called the kind of strong imprints. So yeah, if you have very good the imprints or the, how to say, imprints, right? Imprints. So sometimes those obscurations, those negative karma can very kind of strongly kind of causing obstacles, obscuring the finding the path. So negative karma. Yeah, I think there's one story during the fifth Dalai Lama. There was a great master who spent most of his life in the retreat, the meditations, and he was kind of respected, the great scholar and the masters. When he died, and his region wanted to find reincarnations, and asked the first Benjen Lama, can you really find the way he born? And Benjen Lama find the new boy. So that boy is very naughty, never has interest in studying. So very, very naughty. And those kind of the elders, monastics, they says, maybe he's kind of misrecognized, maybe he's not the real person. And then they went to Benjen Lama says, can you do it again to check, to make sure we are not sure about this boy is the reincarnation of that great Lama. And Benjen Lama says, there is no mystic, but you should think his history, how he lived, what he did. So then they check on the background. So what may it cause? So here's some kind of, show the reasonment during the fifth Dalai Lama's governing of Tibet. He criticized, and there's something that negative things. So then they found, so these small actions can be so powerful that ruin his whole kind of the practice. So injuring Buddhas and disappointing, these are negative karma. Buddha, bodhisattvas, and mother, this is. Buddha, bodhisattvas, and mothers. It's so powerful cause, right? So that's, so relation, the law of cause and effect, relation of cause and effect, indestructible relation of the cause and effect. like a fire and smoke. So negative karma and their result. Some of the negative karmas may harmful actions, but it can be, avoided, prevented. So cultivating faith in general and the firm generating aspirational awakening mind, then upholds the vows of the engaging awakening mind. Next, one gives away the pretext. Gives away the pretext. Oh, I think I have to go back to read the Tibetan terms. What he has given away. Yeah. Gives away so first is the generating awakening mind. Next, one gives away protects, purifies, intends one's body, material resources, and the root of the virtue. So giving away is the material resources, body, and the root of the virtue. So it is on the basis of such presentation that Nagarjuna's compendium of sutra should be explained. So this is a kind of unique things to do in the Mahayana practice, because Nagarjuna, so through the dependent arising, so your happiness, you are successful, you kind of you're cultivating the knowledge, you are becoming a Buddha, right? So that kind of all the good things about you is kind of always depending on others, right? So yourself, your kind of sustainable life is from the food, right? So therefore, you kind of save the money in buying food, the medicine, because by protecting this body that sustains your existing, right? Prolonging yourself. So you care for those. If you care, because this having kind of the buying food and the medicines and the exercise, because that prolongs your life, because you like yourself, therefore you do that. So if you also, when you like yourself to be a bodhisattvas, you like to be a practicing generosity, right? And it's similar, you also take care of others, because the others are the kind of the actual cause, or you become successful, you become good person, you become knowledgeable person, you become compassionate person. Like you taking care of your body, you also take care of others. So by taking care of the body, only it prolongs your life, but that body does not necessarily make you a good person and knowledgeable, right? So you want to be professor, you want to be the president of the United States, whatever you want. You cannot, by feeding yourself, you can't you become professor or the president. By taking care of other, so that makes you yourself become successful and happy persons. So for example, So which one is more important for you? Is the body or others? Body only can prolong your life, right? So, but the other is this kind of the how to say, others are the source of your quality. So you like your quality, or you like yours just kind of remain all the time same. So body only makes you just live, right? So other makes you knowledgeable. So which one you choose? So you neglect yourself and you cherish more, because this is the sources of your your kind of your liberation, your enlightenment, all the good qualities you gain through the sentient beings. So you should cherish other more than one's own body, and more than one's own so cultivation of the virtues, more than one's own, how I say, material resources. So Nagarjuna says that's why dedicating yourself to the sentient being, right, without any expectation. So this is the pure kind of, the path that can lead you to the enlightenment. So the giving away means you need the reason to giving away your virtues and the body and material resources. Right? Not just because someone tell me, your material resource is not good, right? No one listens if someone says, "Oh, money is not important, just give away." So when you give away, that particular window, you have to throw it, okay? So I will wait outside. So the giving away means like that, right? Giving away means let it go of your attachment, right? So don't just attach with one condition. So if you like the condition that makes you happy, right, makes you breathe, with this body, right, you take care of this body. Like you like yourself to be more knowledgeable, more successful, so you take care of others. So yeah, Nagarjuna's dedications, may I be like, Sata Chuda Medagu Bishin, Tata Simjan Tamji, Rangargame Jesha shows. May I be useful object, right, useful material for the sentient being, like a Sata Chuda, like soil, water, medicinal tree, right? Menas, Gomeshin shadows, medicinal tree, and the medicine. So may I be the material object that something is useful for the all sentient beings. So he's the kind, deep in his mind, he was aiming, he was kind of focusing on that, because there is no independent me. When I become useful to other, so for sure there's always the benefit to you. So benefiting oneself is benefiting others. Now, this kind of, this only possible when you give up your attachment. If you don't have any, if you don't have give up the attachment, and better not to do that. So giving body the material resources is very, I would call absurd things to do. It's not useful at all. So one give away, and then this particular practice, right, particular compassion, particularly compassion through exchanging self to the other, this path needs to be protected, this needs to be purified. Protect and purify the same way, same thing, same way, because every practice that underpinned with realization emptiness is protecting from the attachment and purifying, right? So purifying means overcoming the negativities. Overcoming attachment is protecting it. So enhance, one's body and material resources in the root of the virtues. It is on the basis of such presentation that Nagarjuna's Companion Sutra should be explained. So, when you have this kind of the engaging, awakening mind and the great compassion, then you think everything that what I have is continuously kind of invest for the sentient beings, right? So there's no stop. Keep giving like that. So because by giving or by giving yourself, your energy, your qualities, what your anything that you have, your virtues, dedicating and giving to other, that very giving is the generosity. That giving is enhancing your compassion and the realization emptiness. So it's actually giving to yourself, right? So other person who is giving to may not be happy as you, but you, because yourself become free from the attachment and the misconception. So so that means to, in order for to be able to practice this giving away, and require that you have to have the great compassion and the realization emptiness within you. With that, you should give. Without that, you should not give. so make sure this understand, right? So you're better than the ordinary person, like a normal person. So Aryadeva's 400 stanzas also present overall the body of the profound and the vast aspect of the path. Profound is the same thing. Wisdom realizing emptiness, the vast awakening mind, and the bodhicitta. Compassions. Furthermore, the presentation of the overall structure of the path in condensed format, right? Format found in the Bhava Vivek's essence of the middle way. So one of the Nalendra's master, Bhava Vivek, and Chandrakirti's ornament of the middle way, Kamalashila's stages of the meditation on the middle way are all similar. Therefore, when it comes to the basic framework of the path, all great upholders of the noble Arjuna's tradition coverage. As for the method that would easily bring forth the ascertainment of this point, an approach that is most accessible for those on the beginner stage, I present an approach to the guiding others on the path that is extremely easy to understand in my stage of the path to enlightenment. So Lama Tsongkapha is commercializing his book. So look, my new movie. Presenting the instructor of glorious Dipamkara, most learned in the system of the two great charioteers. Thus one can learn from there. So Lama Tsongkapha is commentary based on the Atisha's Lamb of the Path or something like that. Two charioteers is Nagarjuna and Asanga. Nagarjuna and Asanga. So two charioteer means, I think after Buddha passed away, within the 400 years, maybe 200 and 300 started disintegrating, deteriorating the Buddha Dharma, and Nagarjuna comes, and then again, so it very flourishing. So, and then again, that remains for 800 and around the 900 years, and Asanga come. So then I think after Asanga and Nalanda began, they began Nalanda monasteries. And maybe 8 centuries, or maybe 50. I don't know how long this Nalanda is. After Nalanda's just kind of, turned into, deterioration of the Nalanda, then Brikamaleshla. From the Brikamaleshla and Atisha and great Kamaleshla they came. So after Brikamaleshla, then in India, there's no really authentic teacher, Buddhist Buddhist teachers, Buddhist scholars. Then Tibet. So Tibet kind of Chandrakirti, Kamaleshla visit Tibet. And then Atisha came to Tibet. And many of the great translators from Nalanda, during the Chisholm days, this is 100 of Indian scholar came to Tibet. And with that, 108 Tibetan translators together, they translate Sanskrit to the Tibetan. Yeah, and Pandit Mirti also visit Tibet. Yeah. So maybe I'll just stop here. How to practice on the ordinary person stage in particular. 62. Any questions?
So when we were talking about diligence in the beginning, on page 60, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that the same as Joyce's effort?
Joyce's effort is the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Diligence. Some translate diligence, sometimes Joyce's effort. I think Joyce's effort translates from in the Tibetan term they use, zunju. So in Joyce's effort translate from the definition of the zunju. So Joyce's effort means zungang gelato. The definition of the Joyce's effort. Zungang gelato means what is the joyous effort? Means mental factors that is, happily engaging in the positive activities. So that is the definition of joyous effort. So they translate joyous effort in the definition. So some people, translate diligence.
What is the Tibetan word for this?
尊具, yeah,
That means
a joyous effort. Yeah, I think just literally the 尊具 means 尊 is effort, 具 means continue, right? Effort that continues, right? So then, effort that continues. What is the meaning? Effort that continues, because some people looks put a lot of effort. And physically, when you see some effort to killing and fighting and criticizing, like months and weeks and years, this looks very, very excited. Are these people have the joyous effort? Are they diligent? Then say no. Joyous effort means, and you are happily enjoying positivities. That is the joyous effort. So others who is emotionally excited, or excited from the wrong view. Maybe excited from the brainwash. So sometimes. Sometimes in China there's a re-education camp. It's not re-educating, there's not giving any knowledge. Right, the brainwash. So if the brainwash is education, so then we don't need the education. Tsongkang Gelatros.
I did have one other quick question. Why is it that Yama is seen as redeemable because Lord of Death, but then Mara often, in scriptures is not seen as like, oh, something redeemable? Because I always, when you hear stories, it's like, oh, Yama actually tries to help you and tries to give you signs about like, hey, death is coming.
Yeah.
But Mara is one where it's just like, seems evil.
I think this is the culturally created of the picture of the Mara and the Lord of Death, and from the understanding of anything there is, what causes the death. Right? There is what causes the death. There's the cause which which brings the death, right? And there is the cause which continuously causing obscurations and obstacles. So to introduce that, as I mentioned, in the old time there are different culture to introduce things. So they make the story out of it. So then the picture of the death, Lord of the Death, and the Mara is culturally introduced. There is no such person, right? But there's the obstacles. There's the obstacles there is the cause of the death. So what is the actual lot of the death is impermanent. So the things continuously changing is the cause of the death. It's not there's someone waiting for you, right? Holding the list. Oh, today is this person's time. So the story tells you like that, right? Lord of the Dead has his secretary, and he has many employees, and the secretary will tell the Lord of the Dead, oh, today that person and his time. And Lord of Death says, yeah, you go, bring that soul. Right? So, kind of the fact is there is the cause of the death. So I think, yeah, this is how this is the kind of main fact. And to some people, some people all time they introduce the Lord of the Dead as some one individual person who knows the count as the human being when they're going to die. If there's one individual person, it's almost impossible he can really see. So whose time? So he may miss. Some people may forgot, and they live long, and 500 years. So he should have the kind of blind spot sometimes, right? Because there's a countless human beings, countless sentient beings. How can one person can conceive all the things? So in the will of the Dharma, will of life, right? There's one kind of wrathful, they're holding the kind of will of life. So that represents impermanent. So impermanence is continuously eating your time. So you can say the week is Lord of the Death, the day is Lord of the Death, the hour is Lord of the Death. So one Lord of the Death, the 2019 died. So this, the Veda Purana and the Veda systems, it teaches people through telling the stories. So people are more attracted to the story instead of the main point. It's but good thing that they have some kind of the concept, or there's the cause of the death. Yeah, the Sunday is the Lord of the Dead, that's going to end.
He said the cause of death is impermanence, and the cause of the obstacle is the question itself.
Cause the obstacle is as our karma, our action. So the both Mara and Lord of the Dead within us. Yeah, it's a bit. So buy one, get two free. Mara and Lord of the Dead is free. In a Veda story, this is the Shiva pointed one of the son of the the son of the sun, the god of sun, sun. So the Lord of that sun has two sons, and Shiva choose one. One is very honest, very dharma practitioner. He choose this for the Lord of the Dead. So when he empowered him, from now on, you will be take care of kind of the death, the spirit, the soul. You have to go and collect the soul. And these will all happen when the Brahma, when he started creating human being, animals like that, and the whole God becomes so worried because becoming too many. No one is dying. So they complain to Shiva. So in this way, Brahma keep creating, and this whole planet could not really kind of carry this all people. And then with Shiva says, so I'm going to point this boy to the Lord of the Death. And then the has a Brikamalashi, what do you call? There's a smith, one of the Lord. I forgot his name. So he built things, weapons like that. So Shiva asked him to create one weapon for him, and this person has made this what do you call whip, right? Throw it in him, so just pull it back. So that's the story, the Veda story. So the main point is to warn people, everybody will die, right? One day there's the end of life. So by giving all impermanence, instant changing, people don't really have not much idea. Maybe. Like this culture has to cover all people. So teaching cannot really reach every people. They're telling the story. So everybody heard and everybody know. So they just they more refer to how they're attracted to the story. They all believe that's kind of brainwash, but there has the point. There's a point. So they culturally believe there's one person always looking for you. When is your time? So some people, when they just before die, they think, when the Lord of the Dead comes. So some people even say, I saw, when I was sleeping, there's two guys moving around me and trying to choke me. So, and he said, oh, that's the Lord of the Dead now. He's coming. So it's like a culture and the fact. Culture is the fiction, right? It's the fiction based on the fact. So exaggerated on the fact. So the actual Lord of the Dead is impermanence. That continuously eating the time. Yeah. That's it. Chanju semjo rinpoche, majeba na jeji, jeba nyamba mewa ya, kondo pevrach. Tonye dawa rinpoche, majeba na jeji, jeba nyamba mewa. Kondo pevrach, pama simje tamje deda dede, nyenjo tamje dado towa, chanju semba kama sushu. Teda gunye molong dribdiruchi, karera weko vishingas, pendan dewa ma lunjo wene, jereza wa tenzin jazwe. Shabe side badu tenjuruchi.
May the precious body mind that yet born arising. May the bone of no decline but increase forever. May the precious mind realizing emptiness that yet born arising forever. May the bone of no decline but increase forever. Due to all these merits, may all pardon and other sentient beings of all happiness. May all lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished in the sacred land surrounded by snow. You are the source of all benefit and happiness. All powerful chances intelligent. Remain in this world until sometime.
Thank you very much.